that discomfort, that feeling obligated to do a thing even when you feel a certain kind of way, that is where our character is actually developed. That is where our leadership capacity and potential is developed. It's in those uncomfortable places, our uncomfortable seasons, and I know from experience that development may not come without going through that journey.
In the things that I haven't said to you, that's where I've learned to live. In the things that I could have weaponized.
Yeah.
That is where I learned to love. In the moments where I chose compassion and understanding and grace over things I would have been justified to, ball up my fists and slam on the table and yell and scream and kick and all of that stuff.
Formation.
Man.
You're back to formation.
And God is
formation.
Is yet today,
today, literally,
like working on that.
Yeah.
Welcome to With Love, the Chambers,
where life, laughter, and lasting lessons meet.
We're the Chambers, a husband and wife navigating faith, family, and everything in between.
Here we share real stories, heartfelt conversations, and a whole lot of love. Because life isn't perfect, but God's grace sure is.
So pull up a seat, grab a cup of coffee, or go ahead and sip that tea, and join us for honest talks, laughs, and the wisdom we're learning along the way. This is With Love, the Chambers.
This episode of With Love, the Chambers was brought to you by the Vision Engineering Collective, where purpose meets strategy and vision comes to life. If you've been enjoying the stories, the laughs, and those deep life lessons, we invite you to support the show and help us keep the love flowing. Head over to www.coff.ee/withlovethechambers. Think of it like buying us a cup of coffee or two. As always, thank you for hanging with us. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to part 2 of the discussion around when folks show you who they are, believe them. If you haven't already checked out part 1, please do so, because part 2 is going to pick up right where we left off. As always, we thank you so much for joining us every single week on With Love, the Chambers. Now join our conversation that's already in progress.
Yeah.
But getting back to showing when people show you who they are and us needing to believe them, one of the most difficult things is when the people that show us are people we got covenant relationships with. They're our immediate family members. They are high profile clients that we can't just, say we're not going to, do that work anymore. They could be tied to us in a ministry capacity where God hasn't released us from that work or that ministry calling as of yet. And so we have to navigate through. I see the disrespect. I see the dishonor. You have shown me who you are. And I believe you, but I can't quite walk away. How do we navigate through that tension and thread that needle? Because that's tough.
Perhaps.
Maybe. You could just say.
No. I was saying perhaps.
What do you mean perhaps?
Perhaps is hard. I mean, and I was having a conversation this week. It's like when we find ourselves in these peculiar situations like you just described.
Yes.
And maybe this is the optimist in me, but I'm like, this is the formation process.
What do you mean by that?
That discomfort, that feeling obligated to do a thing even when you feel a certain kind of way, that is where our character is actually developed. That is where our leadership capacity and potential is developed. It's in those uncomfortable places, our uncomfortable seasons, and I know from experience that development may not come without going through that journey. You know what I mean? So, but it may not feel good. It may be man, I'm going to go ahead and muster through this thing. But after I, get off or I, check out or whatever, I'm going to have to unwind. I'm going to have to go to the gym. I'm going to have to go
Sure.
walk. I'm going to have to, listen to some throwback music that could, make me feel a certain kind of way. But that is growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's leadership. That's servitude. You know what I mean? That is what we're called to, straight up. I don't know what else to tell people, and I think this younger generation, they have to be careful to try and build lives where they always avoid these uncomfortable seasons, because then they'll just be weak, literally.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be weak mentally, they'll be weak emotionally, they'll be weak spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you and I know when you got to go through a season, where, and we haven't even talked about financially.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have obligations to certain jobs and positions because you have a financial responsibility,
absolutely.
period. You know what I mean? And you know what the economy is doing right now. It's kind of contracting, with these job opportunities. So guess what? We may have to suck it up. Some people may have to suck it up. You know what I mean? So I don't have a get out of jail free card for that discomfort. You know what I mean? But I think part of, being in those environments where, like you said, it's like, dang, I have to believe who they are showing me them to be.
Sure.
Is, you have to double down on your resolve. You have to double down on your temperance. You have to double down on that inner resolve, that endurance, that long suffering to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to be clear on the why I'm here.
Yes.
Be clear on the expectations that I've placed on myself and the expectations that this environment or job or whatever have placed on me. I'm going to work to the glory of God so that God can be glorified in my service or in my work.
Yes.
And keep it moving until, that season changes or that cycle changes. And you and me, if we had time, which I like to say, we could tell a pretty wonderful story about, walking through, years of uncomfortable season.
Yes.
But not getting that release. You know what I'm saying? And for some people, when we say release, you may not even live your life like that. You may not even have this whole internal thing, but, for us, we do have this part of our faith.
Yes.
Part of our faith and our followership of Christ is we do have a sensitivity of making decisions, especially major life decisions, inside the will of God. So when we say not get a release, that means that we just haven't got a peace that comes from Him to transition.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter, I know some jobs I've probably stayed too long, and some jobs I maybe should have stayed a little bit longer. You know what I mean? And that's just part of the game, part of the experience, part of the growth, part of the formation.
Yes.
This is all formation. So that's how I try and resolve it internally. And that's how I talk to other leaders.
Yeah.
Literally, you know what I mean? Recently, you know what I mean? Like, you are going to get some experience and some formation and some development in this uncomfortable time.
Sure.
You would have no other way received. And then that experience, that formation is gonna strengthen you for whatever's next or for the next leg of the journey. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like people need to understand. It's like, especially people of faith. No, he did not promise you, merry-go-rounds and
Sure.
being on slides, chutes and ladders all day.
Cotton candy and bubble
Yeah,
gum,
it's
right?
like, nah, we got some valleys, you know, we got some hills to climb,
Mm-hmm.
we got some peaks, we got some summits, we got some deaths, we got some resurrections, we got some leprosy. I mean, you name it. I mean, come on, all this
Yes.
stuff is in scripture. So, and I know I'm talking more figuratively, but that suffrage and suffering is a part of our faith.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think as Christian leaders, we need to help people understand that. You know what I mean? Even within the context of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you don't get married to be served, period.
Right.
I mean, that would be but I know some people think like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna get, I need to get, da 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 da. I'm gonna pick out a woman who, can just be my trophy, or who could, cook like this or look like a IG model. And it's like, you gonna find out.
Mm-hmm.
You tripping. What I mean? This thing is not about that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's so that's how, and I hope that answers your question. That's how I resolve it. Is, man, he's trying to cultivate something in me.
The character development series.
He's trying to develop that thing. And even family. I mean, you mentioned family. You talk about some blood family.
Yeah.
It can be challenging.
Yes.
And I feel like the truth of the matter is, I feel like sometimes family, they can have access to the deepest part of your soul and your psyche and your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that development can be the most challenging.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's still development.
Mm-hmm.
It's still maturation, I guess for you, Jamila, like, and I know we're just, wired so differently, but for you, when you're going through, this season of having to engage with people and systems and things that you like, it is what I thought it was. And I know you'll begin to pray. I know specifically you have literally say, Father, remove them or remove me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So talk about that when you're in that tight place and how you try and create space.
Yeah. So again, you and I are wired so differently. I am much more direct. So much more prone to desire to have the conversation in the moment, in real time, right there. Like that is my default kind of approach. And what has been a part in my own personal learning and growth and maturation over those tight seasons, particularly with family, is figuring out and understanding, well, what happens if they never change? Because there's two things, and there's two things that have been pivotal for this stage that I'm in. And I've shared this on this platform before. One is my brother and I fought very bitterly for 2 years before he passed. And I'm not sure if I quite said that very clearly on this platform before, but it is one of my life regrets is that he and I fought the way we did over the course of time right preceding his passing. We had about a 90-day period of time where we were able to reconcile, and he passed away. And I always reflect on that, saying, all these arguments are vanity, right? You get down to it, and whether you're right or wrong, and I've shared that in a space before, whether you right or wrong, whatever the argument was about, when it gets down to it, and your loved one is no longer here, you've wasted valuable time.
That's true.
And so because of that, it has been a fundamental rewiring that I just refuse to get to that stage and that level with anyone in a familiar covenant family relationship with me. Like, I know the price of that.
Yeah.
That's a price I don't want to pay.
Yeah, of course.
With anyone else.
Of course.
Now, that doesn't mean that subsequently in the past 13 years, right, since he's passed, that conversations haven't got tight, that I haven't felt disrespected, offended, all the things, right? Because they are family members. And so because they are family members, they know exactly, what to say, what to do, because they're the people that have the most access to you. And they are also the people, and you and I even have to be careful about that, when you have children and siblings and whatever, and things change and you think people, and people change and evolve and grow. And if we don't keep up with that, and evolve with them, we can be guilty, right, of rubbing people the wrong way because life has moved on and maybe we haven't, right? So yes. And so for all those reasons, there's some times when those moments, particularly with family, get tight. But I always remember I'm not gonna go there, right? I'm not gonna fight to the mat with anybody.
Yeah.
So because I'm not gonna go there, let me chew the meat and spit out the bones.
Yeah.
If you've got something to say that's, worth me hearing, absorbing, that we need to process, go through, or whatever, then great. We'll do that. But if you don't, and it's an opinion, or, it's an opinion that might not change, because all of us are getting up in age, right? It's an opinion. So I've got to leave that where it is.
Yeah.
I've got to leave that where it is. I forgot who told us the first time, but your opinion of me is not my business, right? Or concerns with whatever that is.
That's very liberating.
Yes, and and I think with the maturity of me getting older, also in the process, I have come to a place where I've accepted that and not tried to navigate or buck up against that. But I will tell you, if I had to pick the moments where I learned how to love, they are those moments. Because I could come through and say this or do that, or fold my hands across my chest and say, you offended me, you hurt me, so I'm not going to do that. But ultimately, what is that going to solve? Because whether we have 2 years like I did before my brother passed, or we're fortunate enough to have 2+ more decades. Either way, time is too short.
That's right.
For me to posture myself like that with people that I love.
Yeah.
With people that I love. Everyone else I get to, say you don't have access to.
Yeah.
Limit my conversation. Right? That's different. So with our work colleagues and even with our clients and whatever, one of my favorite memes and social media things about what I'm not going to do in 2026 is go back and forth. I love that, and you get to do that when it's, colleagues and people you're not in a covenant relationship with. But I have these really, really good, solid group of girlfriends. You know what? Do I always agree with everything? No. And my husband, the vision engineer, the Dr. Rufus Chambers, would be telling me for years, like, Jamila, you don't always have to say something. Just because you see something don't mean you always have to say something. And I don't think I understood that, right? Because for many years, to me, to see something was to say something.
All day.
All day long.
But
now, just because I see it, just because I know it's there, just because I see how
you hear it here now. It's being recorded.
Not only being recorded, but what would our big girl witch say? You got to run me my ones. You got to run me my ones.
It has been documented.
It has not only been documented. Here is late. This is being recorded late. I think we got enough receipts, and we ain't gonna put it on the microphone,
Praise
but
the Lord.
we got
some receipts.
We got enough receipts. Run me my ones that
We got some receipts.
yeah, we got some receipts. Yeah, we got some receipts because things and conversations could go a completely different way. But
That's right.
but at what cost and to what end? You
Yeah.
know, and so the cost and the ends, especially with your family, it doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
that's a price no one wants to pay.
That's right.
And I know firsthand the cost of that.
Yeah.
With someone I loved very much, that I wasted time bickering, arguing, complaining, doing all of that stuff. Yeah. Assuming that I was going to have more time at some point.
That's right.
For it to be roses and,
yeah,
cotton candy again.
Have mercy.
You don't always have the privilege of that. So we have to just be a good steward of the time that we have. And I've also just, gotten a lot more resolved. You mentioned earlier about that character development. And I said, and I was thinking as you were speaking, like, that is where I learned to love. Like, in the things that I haven't said to you. That's where I've learned to love. And the things that I could have weaponized.
Yeah.
That is where I learned to love. In the moments where I chose compassion and understanding and grace over things I would have been justified to, ball up my fists and slam on the table and yell and scream and kick and all of that stuff.
Formation.
Man.
You back to formation.
Man. And God is
formation.
Is yet today.
Today, literally.
Like working on that. Yes. And I think that's the part when you were talking about that character development and that opportunity for you to get even better. Because also doing that, and we were having a conversation with our girls about that in many of our relationships, we deposit more than we withdraw. In many of
at least from our perspective,
at least, yes. That's all I can speak for. And I ain't gonna apologize for. I ain't gonna put no qualifier on it. I'm not gonna put no qualifier on it, right? But in many of our relationships,
yes,
that is, what it is. We will show up in ways that those same individuals might not necessarily show up for us, right? And it's not that we're, keeping score, doing this and doing that, but you look up and say, oh, wow, I haven't seen this person in a while, or I haven't heard from this person in a while, but if they have something, we're there, or call that we're there, right? So I don't want to unravel that. But our oldest daughter was expressing some frustration about that tension and how it feels sometimes. And even scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required, right? And so even to be able to say, although it may feel like that, and if we were to keep a ledger and keep score, it might even look like that on the scoreboard. But we get to live a life that's infinitely, like there's nothing missing.
That's true.
Out of our life. There's nothing we don't get the opportunity to do. And we're so blessed with our health, and we're so blessed with our family and all of these wonderful things. And so do we want to spend time talking about we did this for somebody and they didn't do it back? That is such, what do people call it now? The low vibration conversations.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, that is a place we don't even need to go.
Yeah.
Because look at everything we get to do, experience, the favor, the doors that have opened, quite frankly, even the doors that have closed. Like, look at all of what God is doing, and we can clearly see his hand on our life, that we don't have time to start, well, that person didn't show up the same way we showed up for them.
Yeah.
That is just not even a conversation worth having.
Yeah.
That is not even a conversation worth having. But that's also part of when people show you who they are, we need to believe them.
Yeah.
But even in believing them as believers, as followers of Christ, what do we do
Yeah,
with that?
absolutely.
Because the option isn't always, I'm going to.
That's true.
And sometimes we do got to shake the dust off our feet. That's biblical too. Like
That's
sometimes,
Bible.
yeah. So sometimes we do need to, wring our hands and walk away. Pontius Pilate washed his hands and said, so it's on y'all. So sometimes we do have to have those moments, but other times it's the character development. It's the we're going to continue to show up and be in the place and be in the space, even if it isn't reciprocated. Why? Because that's what we were called to do. That's what we were led to do. We have to do things with the right heart posture, not to expect anything in return or expect, someone to show up for us a particular kind of way. And we just also can't live like that. We also can't have that particular posture. So when people show us who they are, that doesn't mean it's not painful. That doesn't mean we don't want to ball up our fists and fight. That doesn't mean we don't want to, match toe for toe and tit for tat. And we can do all that. But again, on the inside, especially as believers, we should posture ourselves a different way.
That's right. Well, y'all, this has been a rich discussion as far as I'm concerned. We pivoted from believe who they show themselves to be,
who they are,
and then we got in the culture of honor, and then we circled the block and came on back. So we hope and pray that this conversation has been enriching to you.
Yes.
We hope that you've listened, with an open ear, an open heart, an open mind, because I believe that there is an opportunity to take this discussion into your life, into your home, and really find some resolve and some peace on some relationships that you may have, some environments that you may be in, and some transitions that you may eventually find yourself in. So with that, we're going to sign off from the living room.
Yes.
We're going to sign off.
Like
this is our literal living room. Thank you for tuning in to With Love, the Chambers. Hit the like, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected. God bless.
This episode of With Love, the Chambers was brought to you by the Vision Engineering Collective, where purpose meets strategy and vision comes to life. If you've been enjoying the stories, the laughs, and those deep life lessons, we invite you to support the show and help us keep the love flowing. Head over to www.coff.ee/withlovethechambers. Think of it like buying us a cup of coffee or two. As always, thank you for hanging with us. We'll see you next time. With Love, the Chambers.
That's a wrap for today's episode of With Love, the Chambers.
We hope you laughed, learned, and felt encouraged along the way.
If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs a little love and wisdom today.
You can also connect with us online on all social media platforms at Rufus Chambers Online and at Jamila Chambers. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time,
keep living, keep laughing, and keep learning with Love, the Chambers.